Vice President of Colombia, Francia Marquez, has arrived in Nigeria on a 3-day official visit. Accompanied by her husband and cabinet ministers, the Colombian Vice President was received at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by a federal government delegation. A key highlight of the visit is the signing of memoranda of understanding in strategic areas of the economy, including women empowerment, trade, aviation, manufacturing, and agriculture, among others. The visit will also feature a plenary session on Nigeria-Colombia Business Forum and other side events. A report on integrating conflict sensitivity and peace building into Nigeria's adaptation plan process by the Department of Climate Change in the Federal Ministry of Environment has been launched. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, who was represented, believes with climate change intensifying, causing farmers' herders crisis, cattle rustling and banditry, there is need for the National Adaptation Plan. As such, the report's launch becomes necessary to enable players to conduct climate risk and vulnerability assessments of identified communities with possible suggested solutions. The Inception workshop ensures that MDA's capacities are enhanced across all levels and development planning activities.
Adapting to the impact of climate change can be an effective way of breaking this cycle by improving social well-being and addressing root drivers of fragility. Doing so in conflict-affected and peace-building contexts requires strategies for conflict sensitivity, adaptation planning, and programming that understands the local conflict dynamics associated with climate change.
While efforts are on to mitigate the effect of climate change, the need for adaptation is also very important so that we can adjust our system and operations to these effects.
Nigeria's efforts to lead peace-building considerations into the NAP process are therefore a model that others can learn from, and we are very proud to be supporting that leadership.
We always appreciate every effort to ensure that we rebuild community resilience, ensure that we work together to retard the consequences of conflict all over the world.
The National Adaptation Plan Global Network is providing the technical and financial support needed to implement the NAP project, which is believed will enhance planning and budgeting for adaptation, thereby making it more effective. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has landed in Beijing as he is set to attend the landmark Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO summit in Tianjin. The UN chief was welcomed by Chinese officials as he made his way to the airports before entering his motorcade and departing. The 25th meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the SCO, chaired by Chinese President Xi Jinping, is scheduled to take place from August 31st to September 1st. The upcoming meeting promises to be the largest in history. Leaders from more than 20 countries and representatives of international organizations have confirmed their participation. Meanwhile, the European Union says the bloc would consider all options on how to maximize the use of Russian frozen assets to help Ukraine in the face of opposition from Belgium. EU Chief Kaja Kallas said ministers acknowledged the need to address Ukraine's financing gap and to hold Russia accountable for war damages.
To achieve this, it is crucial to explore all available avenues while minimizing the potential risks. And I want to stress that financial markets did not react when we froze the assets. Financial markets are calm now as we discuss this, and there are risks, but I'm confident that we are able to mitigate those risks.
The strength of the EU is the fact that we are able to find common ground. And now, maybe more than ever, it is crucial to stand united and speak with one voice in a world of division, and perhaps even more important, to change these words into action.
The EU froze about 200 billion euros of Russian central bank assets after the 2022 invasion of Ukraine, the vast majority of which are held by the international deposit organization Euroclear in Belgium. Last year, the EU, along with its G7 partners, used the interest being earned on the assets to back a $50 billion loan to Ukraine that is still being paid out in installments. However, there is pressure from a number of more hawkish EU states to do more to make use of the assets, with options raised including confiscating them outright or seeking greater profits by ploughing them into riskier investments. Now, United States Appeals Court has ruled as illegal most of the tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump. Uche Ogochukwu reports that this sets up a potential legal disagreement that could overturn his foreign policy agenda.
China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including...
In a 7-4 ruling, the court declared President Trump's sweeping tariffs invalid as contrary to law, stating that only Congress has the constitutional power to impose such levies. The decision affects Trump's reciprocal tariffs on most countries, as well as those on China, Mexico, and Canada. The court found that the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, cited by Trump, does not grant presidents the authority to set tariffs. The ruling is suspended until October 14 to allow the administration seek a Supreme Court review. However, President Trump criticized the decision on Truth Social, warning it will destroy the United States if allowed to stand. The ruling, which comes in response to 2 lawsuits filed by small businesses and a coalition of U.S. states, now heads toward a likely Supreme Court showdown, where the top court's 9 justices will decide whether Trump's expansive tariff program is another example of presidential overreach or lawful executive action. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
The High Authority of Communication, which oversees media regulations in Guinea, has commenced a campaign for the constitutional referendum on new guidelines for coverage. Here again is Uche Ugochukwu with details.
The campaign for new media coverage guidelines requires that audiovisual media provide equal airtime for both supporters and opponents of the referendum. However, the Guinea High Authority of Communication has drawn criticism for its stipulation that only recognized entities, those without conflicts with the state, can have a voice in the media. This decision has faced backlash from the Guinean Professional Press Union, with President Boubacar Yacine Diallo stating that while no one is banned from media access, journalists must stay clear of unrecognized entities or those in legal conflict. Compounding the issue, private media outlets are prohibited from engaging in interactive programs that discuss the referendum, a move condemned as an infringement on freedom of expression. Report indicates that the press union expressed concern, saying, "You cannot defend freedom of expression for all Guineans while simultaneously barring interactive discussions on campaign issues. The referendum affects everyone." The campaign period will run from August 31 to September 18, with voting scheduled for September 21, coinciding with the 4th anniversary of the military coup in 2021. The proposed constitutional changes include an extension of presidential terms from 5 to 7 years, with a cap of 2 terms. Notably, a clause that would limit any individual to 2 presidential terms over their lifetime has been removed. Since the 2021 military coup that ousted President Alpha Condé, a transitional government has been in place. However, concerns about the country's democratic future persist, especially following the government's dissolution of numerous political parties and the failure to meet prior election deadlines. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Ministers from the 47 countries of the WHO African region have ended their meeting in the Zambian capital, Lusaka, with deliberations on measures to address challenges as well as endorse key resolutions to improve and promote people's health. The 75th session of the World Health Organization Regional Committee for Africa is the highest decision-making body on health on the continent. Opening the meeting, Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema pointed out the lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic, which he noted were crucial in strengthening health diplomacy to address inequalities, and called on regional leaders to position health as a driver of regional trade and industrialization. The President also called for collaboration and a commitment to humanity in making decisions that enhance health and well-being across the region. Now, the federal government has assured UNICEF of sustained partnership to improve access to safe water and sanitation services in the country. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, stated this when the UNICEF country representative, Wafa Said, paid him a working visit in Abuja. In a statement by the minister's personal assistant on media and publicity, Professor Utsev acknowledged the support and cooperation Nigeria has enjoyed from UNICEF over the years, especially in the areas of girl-child education, water and sanitation, as well as hygiene services, which must be strengthened for the good of the country. He told the UNICEF country representative that his ministry has achieved giant strides in the water and sanitation sector, especially under President Bola Tinubu's administration, and would soon come out with a document highlighting key achievements of his ministry and present to UNICEF to identify other areas of intervention. Professor Utsev particularly commended the chief of WASH in Nigeria, Jane Bevan, for always supporting water and sanitation programs and sued for sustenance. Earlier, UNICEF country representative Wafa Said explained that the visit was to appreciate Nigeria for the massive transformation being witnessed in the water and sanitation sector, as well as hydropower investment, and to identify the ministry's vision in the water and sanitation sector for more support. This is the news on NTA International. More reports in a moment. Stay with us.
I therefore call on my colleagues, or media professionals and editors, to be discerning in their reportage. We must deny these groups the undue publicity they crave. We must take them off the front pages and accurately report them as the criminals that they are, without glorifying their acts or giving credence to their false narratives. These, of course, are not freedom fighters. They are murderers, kidnappers, and destroyers, and they must be presented as such.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Interior retreat at the Zuma Rock Resort has ended with signatures. The minister and heads of agencies he supervises putting ink to paper and sealing performance contracts for the year ahead. Victor Azu reports that the handshake accompanying each signature signals both trust and expectation.
Day 3 and the stock taking gives way to signatures. Performance contracts now inked into obligation. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo called it accountability in action. His tone was firm but grateful. Progress has been made, he says, but in the year ahead, the bar is higher. And to the Federal Fire Service, with the Controller General barely 2 weeks in office, the charge was pointed. Leadership will be measured by the blazes fought and the lives saved.
I want to see a fire service that will be able to regulate and be able to enumerate the sector. And I want to see a fire service that will be judged by the number of assets saved. And I want to see a fire service that is more vibrant and will be a major employer of labor.
Asked what Nigerians can expect, the paramilitary chiefs pledged that Nigerians will see and feel the difference in safety, security and reform.
We are going to see a lot of improvements. We are going to reel out our detailed operational, strategies.
We have to go back and sit down and see how we can strengthen mechanisms that will make us begin to perform and give value to our jobs.
So by the next retreat, definitely there will be positive impact, and Nigerians will know that there is a new fire service in place.
From the shadow of Zuma Rock, the Ministry of Interior must now turn symbolism into service, proving that strength lies not in words, but in results that touch everyday Nigerian lives. In Abuja, Victor Azul, NTA News.
Nigeria is taking decisive steps towards clean, reliable and affordable energy with the launch of a new national committee dedicated to renewable energy efficiency and innovation. This comes as the federal government inaugurates the National Committee on Renewable Energy, Energy Efficiency, Innovation and Certification, a move described as a bold new course in Africa's energy transition. Justin Bemunyi reports.
Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Jeffrey Naji, announced the initiative in Abuja during the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Energy Commission of Nigeria and High Voltage 101 Limited. Naji said the committee aligns with President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda designed to drive industrial growth, create jobs and protect the environment. He explained that the interministerial team will focus on research and innovation, collaboration, local content development, certification and standards.
One is innovation and research, which will advance solar, wind, hydro, bioenergy, and other renewable technologies. The second one is on collaboration. We are going to be uniting government, private sector, academia, and development partners in joint action. The third one is the local content development, which will aim at creating opportunities for Nigerian investors, manufacturers, and entrepreneurs to lead. And the last is the certification and standards, which ensures renewable energy solutions meet the highest international benchmark for safety, quality, and sustainability.
Director General of the Energy Commission of Nigeria, Mustafa Abdullahi, outlined Nigeria's progress in promoting energy efficiency across industries, buildings, appliances, and transport. He also cited the establishment of the National Center for Energy Efficiency and Conservation at the University of Lagos, which conducts research and appliance testing. On his part, Managing Director of High Voltage 101 Limited praised the initiative as a transformational step towards energy sustainability, innovation and economic growth. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Now, Nigeria's dependence on subsistence farming will not sustain its growing population, experts have warned, calling for urgent adoption of disruptive technologies to transform agriculture. The call was made during a lecture at the Academy of Natural Science and Engineering in Nigeria. Expands its fellows with 10 new inductees. Here again is Justin Bemunyi with details.
The investiture of the Academy of Natural Science and Engineering provided more than an opportunity to honor excellence. It became a platform to address one of the country's most pressing concerns, food security. In a lecture on disruptive technologies for agriculture, experts noted that Nigeria's farming system, still heavily dependent on subsistence methods, is no longer adequate for the needs of its people. They pointed to modern innovations such as artificial intelligence, precision farming, biotechnology and blockchain as strategic pathways to improve food production and build sustainable systems.
So when you talk about digitalizing agriculture to some extent, How do you use artificial intelligence to predict, to analyze, to be able to provide advisory services? These are factors that are known to be proactive and can support production. How do you use precision agriculture? Reduce wastage, reduce costs, reduce emissions.
However, they also identified critical challenges to adoption, ranging from poor infrastructure and low digital literacy to the high cost of technology and limited data support. Even as 10 distinguished scientists and engineers were decorated as fellows of the academy, the central takeaway was clear. For Nigeria to guarantee its food future, it must embrace disruptive technologies today.
Today is a special day that we have set to induct our new members. It simply means that we are adding value to what science is all about, adding value to what engineering is all about. People that have been identified, experienced in their own field of study, were able to be identified and recommended for induction.
Well, this is the bringing together of scientists in the natural science disciplines and in engineering. And the aim is that in our interactions, we will look at the challenges, technical challenges, scientific challenges, and engineering challenges, technological and numerous others of this country, brainstorm in order to profile solutions.
And for these science and technology professionals, already recognized for their outstanding contributions to national development, the honor of fellowship serves as both a reward and a call to do even more for the progress of the country. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
The National Orientation Agency FCT chapter has commenced campaign on national reorientation in 5 thematic areas. The director of the agency in the FCT, Acharu Okpalua, is leading the campaign. Through the major streets in the city center of Abuja, they marched, persuading students and other youth to take advantage of the Nelfund scheme and other government policies towards improving education, youth development and job creation nationwide. At the marketplace, they spoke in different Nigerian languages, urging citizens to be aware of their environment and imbibe the culture of security consciousness, as well as internalizing national values and getting the correct and required information regarding disaster preparedness, especially on flood mitigation.
We have flood mitigation and preparedness, security awareness, Nigerian identity project and national symbols, extreme sign-out practice in schools.
To also discourage the attitude of unnecessary spending during students' graduation ceremonies and other irrelevant activities going on in schools are part of reasons for the campaign. Other areas the sensitization is highlighting include the need for citizens to understand the values attached to the national identities and symbols in order to accord them the required respect. Safe environments are critical for human development and economic growth. In recognition of this, the Minister of State for Works, Mohammed Bello Goronyo, has called for renewed national commitment to workplace safety. Speaking after his conference of a fellow of the Occupational Safety and Health Association, OSHA, Goronyo urged stakeholders across sectors to intensify collaboration in promoting safety standards in offices, construction sites and factories nationwide. He warned that unsafe workplaces are not only endanger lives, but also undermine productivity, noting that the federal government's renewed hope agenda places emphasis on human capital development, while urging private sector organizations, civil society groups and labor unions to join in advancing safety culture. Goronyo maintained that collaboration remains the surest way to reduce accidents and improve productivity across Nigeria's workplaces. The fellowship award by OSHA is in recognition of Goronyo's contributions to advancing occupational health and safety standards in the country. We'll try and get that report to you in our subsequent bulletins. Now, in today's fast-paced world where people are influenced by social media trends, women have been called to be their authentic self and embrace their femininity. This was while Muriel Ines Koriciza launched her book titled Femininity, Why Not? In Abuja. Frama Pani reports.
For years, femininity has been a subject of heated debate. Is it a mark of strength and identity or a tool of control? In her new book, Femininity, Why Not? Author Muriel Ines Koriciza takes that conversation head-on, arguing that the issue isn't femininity itself, but who defines it. Drawing from her own life experiences, Koriciza says the book is less about prescribing roles and more about giving women the freedom to embrace their natural strengths. She frames femininity as a gift, powerful when harnessed and liberating when defined on a woman's own terms.
What God says about femininity and what God says about femininity, it's a great read.
I think it's a very pertinent book at such a time as this, because women are beginning to lose their sense of self-worth. They think that self-worth is only in artificial things, artificial eyelashes, artificial nails, BBL, etc. like that.
The 48-page book is a call for women to own their identity and for men to better understand and support that journey. Koriciza leaves readers with one message. Femininity is not a weakness, but a power when women are free to define it for themselves. Frama Pani, NTA News.
And that concludes the news on NTA International. Many thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adegunloye.